Hello, I'm Eric Freeland, and we'll be going over this week's discussion post for our Aviation 360 class for cost of operations. In using this breakdown, we're using our COO flight miles for the year, which is 120,003.3 miles. We're also going to be sticking with the 4 aircraft that we've been using throughout these past few weeks. So the first one we have is a TBM 930, which has a yearly fixed cost of $203,150. The hourly cost for our 300-mile trip is $596 per hour. Estimated flight hours of 400 hours throughout the year, and estimated yearly cost of $753,740, and an estimated cost per hour breakdown of $1,884 per hour. The next one we have is the King Air 350i. For this one, it's a yearly fixed cost of $234,800. Hourly breakdown for a 300-mile trip is going to cost us $1,183. Our estimated flight hours are going to be 413 hours, and then our estimated yearly cost is $1,270,292, and the estimated cost per hour is $3,073. The last two that we have is the Phenom 300 and the Citation Latitude. These are our two jets. The Phenom 300, the yearly fixed cost for our payments are going to be $261,200. Our hourly cost per 300-mile trip is going to be $1,621. Our estimated flight hours are going to drop in this category. It goes down to 313. Our estimated yearly cost is going to be $1,472,565, and our estimated cost per hour is going to be $4,700. For the Citation Latitude, the yearly fixed cost is going to be substantially higher on all these. It's the most expensive jet on the list. It's going to be $578,600. With an hourly cost for a 300-mile trip is going to be $2,478. Our estimated flight hours is going to be 307 hours, which is something we need to notate for what we'll see later at the lowest amount of hours. And then our estimated yearly cost is $2,577,859 with a breakdown of an estimated cost per hour of $8,406. So with this graph here, we have... as we see, starting out at 0, 0 is going to be our charter cost, which would be $5,000 per hour consistently. So it's going to continuously go up the more we use our charter. So this is really kind of giving us a breakdown of when we'll meet the point where we start actually saving money using on-demand versus charter, depending on how much we're flying. So as we follow the lines here, the first blue line we come across is our TBM 930 line, which we hit a point at 150 hours of flight time. It's going to cost us $604,733. And then keep in mind, too, that we're estimated to have 400 hours of flight time in this, so it is well below our TBM hours that were estimated. The King Air 350i, we start to see the advantage at 200 hours and beyond. And also for us earlier, we discussed it has 413 hours of estimated flight time for each year. So it's about a little over halfway is when we'll start to see that benefit cost-wise of going to the King Air. The Phenom 300 is at 300 hours of flight time. So it's just barely above it. At 313 hours is the total estimated time for the Phenom 300, so only 13 hours difference. And then a really big one here with the Citation Latitude. This chart doesn't go far enough to really discuss when we would even start to see our break-even point on flight time. And we are well beyond our estimated of 307 hours of flight time. So based off the cost alone, the Citation Latitude is absolutely not what we need to move to as a company. If it is strictly cost driven, the TBM 930 would be the one to go to. I do like to keep up with the last discussion post, where we saw that the Phenom 300 scored the highest in the needs for the company, which looking at this chart, having the fact that we really start to see the advantage over Charter using the Phenom 300 for only about 13 hours, I really don't see a huge benefit in the Phenom 300 for this. But the King Air 350i was only off a few points from last week's discussion score from the Phenom 300. And looking at this list right here, I say with combination of the last week and this week's information, I would say at this point the King Air 350i would be the one that the company should move forward with at this point, unless we're strictly looking at cost, which should be the TVM 930. But that's it for this week. Thanks.